Shabbat Shalom. Of all the human emotions that we have, I imagine that most of us would agree that love, if not one of the most important perhaps of the emotions we feel. And there's all different kinds of love. Love of a partner, love of a child, of a parent, of a friend. And each type is a different quality of love. But according to Jewish tradition, what are we commanded to love? Well, none of the above, believe it or not. We are commanded to love three things, three groups. First is to love God, of course. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha. That you shall love the Lord your God. Part of the Shema and Ve'ahavta we read in last week's portion of Vayet Hanan. Second one, many of you know, Ve'ahavta l'recha kamocha. You shall love your neighbor as yourself. One of the cardinal rules of the Torah, of religious values. What's the third group we're commanded to love? Ve'ahavta tager. You shall love the stranger. Commanded in this week's portion of Ekev. Who is the stranger? The stranger is the one who dwelt amongst the Israelites who is not an Israelite. A type of resident alien who lived among the Israelites and wanted to be protected. And they understood ancient world and the Torah, that this group needed to be protected in ways that no other did. So what does it mean to love the stranger? Well, according to Nachmanides, a medieval commentator, he says there are two elements to it. One is to recognize that they are going to be vulnerable sociologically, that they don't know the system, that sometimes there may be a tendency to be prejudiced against them, that somehow they will be seen as outsiders and not treated the same. And so we are commanded in other areas of the Torah to have the same law, the same treatment of the stranger and the homegrown. What's the second element? According to Nachmanides, it's the psychological piece. That strangers feel like outsiders. Boy, have we felt that at moments in our lives? To be in a place, in a room, and to feel like the outsider? To not feel welcomed? Well, that psychological condition can weigh on us, and it does. And so the idea of loving the stranger is to be able to acknowledge that they have to be protected. They have to have a social structure that is going to look after them, and to know that we have to look after their psychological well-being, to welcome them, to make them feel part of our community. How often have we let people feel like strangers and not done anything to help them feel like part of the group? Well, that's the commandment of the Torah in this week's portion. Shall love the stranger. It's a call to strive, to be welcoming, to reach out to those who may not feel connected, to make them feel part of the community in psychological and in social conditions. Well, on this Shabbat, I wish you a Shabbat of peace and a family and of remarkable experiences of life, and also perhaps to look around you to see if there's anybody who would you think to call a stranger, to try and reach out, try and love them, and try and fulfill this commandment, this mitzvah. Wishing you a Shabbat Shalom.